Good evening, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. You know, I've been saying, we need rain, we need rain. Boy, do we need rain. We've been getting some rain, and I'm happy to get it. My grass is beginning to look green again. The trees are coming out and looking nice. The fish are probably happy because there's some water for them to swim in and everything. And I hope it keeps up so we can get this water table back up, and hopefully we won't be dealing with any forest fires this year. So shout out to my son, Michael Anthony Fitness Reactions, and electrician extraordinaire, who sent me a clip of Abdul Carter. So there's a little bit of controversy brewing with Abdul Carter, which is the opposite of what the Cowboys do. So Abdul Carter first wanted to get the number 56 because, of course, Lawrence Taylor, who has 143 sacks in his career, and some people would argue that he is the greatest defensive player in the history of football. And it's hard to argue with that. I'm going to put this out here because it's hard to quantify or judge players between different eras. For example, people will say Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. And I'll say Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time that didn't have to take a hit. Because it's a different game now versus when, say, Roger Staubach. See, I remember a playoff game where I can't remember the defender. I think it was a Colts defender. But he swiped like this. Just literally swiped. And I think he touched right there on his chest. He touched the boobies. And here it is. He gets a first down in 15 yards. So you can be in the backfield unmolested. And when you look at, say, Pat Mahomes, the way he's running and sliding and, getting flags or just able to just run, that didn't happen back in the day. I can't imagine if every time Roger Staubach was jacked up that he got a 15-yard penalty. Games are changed by that. So it's hard to go ahead and say, yeah, Tom Brady's the greatest of all time, when he never had to take hits like other people did, like even Troy Aikman did. So understand that. And also, too, when you look at, say, interceptions now, back in the 80s or 70s, they averaged 21 passes per game. Now, you're averaging 33, 34. That's 14 more times you have opportunities to get a guy sacked or to throw interceptions. It's both ways. So the numbers are going to be skewed. So when you look at a quarterback now and say, well, he threw 400-yard games. Well, because we throw quite often more than we used to. When you think about Troy Aikman in his Hall of Fame career, he had one season that he threw 20 TD passes. One season they throw over 20 touchdown passes. It's a different game there, guys. Running was much more important. Be that as it may, Abdul Carter wanted to get the number 56. And basically Lawrence Taylor said, oh, hell no. Hell no. Bro, you need to get your own number and make it great for there. And there's a lot to be said for that. I actually agree with that one. You don't want that pressure of saying, I'm 56, the next Lawrence Taylor, because the chances of you being the next Lawrence Taylor, as great as you might be coming out of college, you don't want that kind of pressure. And then he decided, well, then I'll go back to my college number, which is the number 11. No. Because Phil Sims has that number. And he said, sure, I'd love to, yeah, man, I'd be honored for him to have it. But apparently, he's not the only voice in that. Somehow, his family said, heck no. That's not going to be the case. So Abdul Carter has been turned down twice now by Giants legends. Now, I can truly understand the Lawrence Taylor one. But Phil Simms? Really? 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 Versus, now, think about it this way. Cowboys give no F's about giving out numbers. In fact, they encourage it. Sometimes they do it too often. You know, when you take a guy like Randy Gregory and you say, we're going to give you the 94. Charles Haley, DeMarcus Ware, you're the next one. I think it's too much pressure on some of these guys. As with the 88, for the most part, 88 has been golden. But I'm trying to remember, was it Antonio Bryant? Because there was another 88. It was originally, if you talk to Drew Pearson, he said somebody else had 88 the year before. And he said, oh no, I'm getting 88. And so he considers himself the original 88 because the 88 that was for him really didn't do anything. So he was the first 88 that actually had success with that 88. And of course, that went on to Michael Irvin, the playmaker, and then Dez Bryant, and now, of course, to CeeDee Lamb. Interesting thing is CeeDee Lamb didn't want 88. He didn't want that pressure. And I know how it is. I'm the youngest. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. And nothing I hated worse was when I went to high school where all the teachers had my brothers and sisters, all the football coaches and the track coaches all had my brothers and sisters. So, you know, it was, well, Rondo ran hurdles. You gonna run hurdles? No. Oh, you're Rondo's brother. Oh, you're Greg's brother. Oh, you're Tony's brother. Oh, you're Belinda's brother. No, I'm Mark. I'm Mark. I'm not going to do what they did. I want to forge my own way and my own name. And that's what Abdul Carter should look at. Don't live in the shadows of somebody else. You become the great one. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So, that being said, let me remind you guys something, too. Remember to take care of yourselves, people. You only got one shot and one opportunity. You know, it was great seeing Dak ask for help. I love how they did that. But the suicide hotline, because we all at some point are going to get down and depressed. And also, too, the world is full of stress. And right now, there's a lot of stress that's going on and things. And you have to, sometimes you need to talk to somebody. And you also have to look out for your health, too. Because sometimes it's real easy if you've got, I learned the hard way. I had an infection on my knee over here. This knee right here. You can see some of the scar. That, just some swelling. And at the time, had I gone to the doctor and got it looked at, they probably would have given me some antibiotics. In which case, it would have taken care of the infection. Started on Wednesday. And I waited a couple of days. And then, by Saturday, I'm in the hospital, sent to another hospital, specialist, greeted by 20 people at the door, and having 3 operations in 2 weeks. to save my leg and my life. So the point being here is, if something is caught early, it's a lot easier to deal with than it is when you wait too long. Remember that, and I have to make sure I remember that myself too. All right, peace out.